Hello, Contrarians listeners, watchers, subscribers from all over the world. Somehow you found yourself staring at these two guys when you typed MAD HEIDI on your search. Uh, Hopefully, this is not disappointing, but neither of us is Heidi. We're here just to talk about the Swiss movie. Is it a co production? Is it like Swiss?
Swissplotation.
Yeah. The Swissplotation movie, Mad Heidi, demanded by one of our patrons. Actually, two of them, Katie and Oti, from your reference. They sent us into this journey that we were completely unfamiliar with. So we're gonna do what we always do in these warm ups: get you ready for our main episode of the show. Mad Heidi is fresh in the tomato meter. That means that we are pretty negative on it during Contrarian's Corner, and then the real talk. Well, you'll see. I'll say one of us liked it more than the other. You'll have to listen to find out. But here, we're going to give you Rotten Tomatoes quotes. We're going to give you a little bit more trivia. And, of course, the Josh Gad Minute. I put Josh Gad in the Swiss Alps and see how he fares. He can do an accent, one of the many accents that people have in this movie. I'm sure Josh Gad can blend in. Now let's start with the tomato meter quotes. Alex, this movie's fresh, so we're going to start with Kelly Vance from East Bay Express, who says, Mad Heidi imagines what would happen if Shirley Temple grew up to become a revolutionary, fighting against an insidious corporation intent on corrupting Switzerland's famous Emmentaler cheese. Emmentaler, like Riders of Justice, the guy, Emmentaler.
Yeah, the comedic relief.
Yeah.
Emmentaler.
And before we move on, Daniel M. Kimmel from North Shore Movies says, with absolutely no pretensions that it's anything but one big joke, the makers of Mad Heidi take the beloved character from children's literature and turn her into a figure of vengeance. Grouping these two together because it is an adaptation of Heidi, and that's where the Shirley Temple reference comes in, because out of the many other adaptations of Heidi, Shirley Temple's might be the most popular.
Yeah.
According to IMDb. I don't know this movie, but a plucky little orphan girl gets dumped abruptly into the gruff hermit care of her grandfather, then later gets retaken and delivered as a companion for an injured girl. This has nothing to do with the movie we watched today, but I guess it's a somewhat faithful adaptation of the book. This is from 1937, black and white. Shirley Temple, of course, plays Heidi, and this was directed by Alan Dwan. You didn't know anything about Heidi, the OG Heidi, going into this, right, Alex?
No.
So you watched and you thought that this was just like a completely original movie?
No, it clearly had like a source material. What do you mean? Did I know that this was like, this is like that Winnie the Pooh movie that came out recently, like the Blood and Honey or whatever. That's kind of like what this is. I was aware of that. I thought you meant like, have I seen the Heidi with?
No. Like, did you know? I meant like, did you know that it was based on
a
something
Shirley
like this?
Temple movie I watched a bunch when I was a kid, and I can't remember for the life of me which one it was, but it wasn't Heidi. So yeah, I was kind of aware that this was like a loose retelling or a departure, a side quest,
Reimagining.
Reimagining. There you go.
It's a Tim Burton word. Okay, I didn't. I don't remember if they referenced it on the opening titles. I did not see it. There's a lot going on in those opening credits, so I would have missed it.
I think the main reason I was so aware of it was because I read a little bit going into the movie about what it was. Yeah. So
well, I didn't. Back row blind, and that I don't know if it would have colored my experience much, but unlike you, I am just a little familiar with Heidi, only because I haven't seen the Shirley Temple movie, but I was wondering if I had just imagined this. There was a cartoon that was called, well, in Spanish, it was just Heidi or Haiti. And
where is Heidi?
Where is Grandpa? It's called Heidi of the Alps. I guess that's the official title. And it's actually it's an anime. It's like from Japan, 1974. I'm sure Corey will put some images here of this, but that's what I remember. I think Heidi, like, it wasn't a cartoon that I watched, but it was a cartoon that was sandwiched in between cartoons that I watched. So I'll be watching, I don't know, Thundercats, He-Man, and then it's like fucking Heidi ruining the flow. And then the next one would come like, Silverhawks, whatever else was next. So I remember Heidi, not something that I watched, but it's like some sort of like girly cartoon that I would always just make its way into our mornings whenever we were watching animated shows. And I captured enough that I remember I recognize the aesthetic. Like if you look at the pictures online, I was like, yeah, that is the show. And
Yeah.
never in my
That type of
wildest
shit will
dreams.
stay with you, man.
Yeah, somehow. But so if I had sat down to watch Mad Heidi, knowing that, like having that little bit of a connection, maybe I would have chuckled a couple more times. I was like, oh, the grandpa. It did at some point. There's just like this wild departure into action and becomes like a women's prison movie, and then it's nothing like the cartoon. But
For a second, I thought you were talking about the cartoon. I was like, geez, they forecasted what was going to happen in this movie.
no. No, the cartoon, as far as I can tell, it was just this little girl, her grandpa, and they were like in a farm or something, which I think is at least part of what the book is like. But I'm not gonna say I recommend anybody watch Heidi of the Alps or show it to your kids. But if you grew up watching Heidi of the Alps, hit us up. Tell me, tell both of us just how it compares to Mad Heidi. Maybe there's like a fight scene that I don't remember that I missed.
Maybe one of the prison guards likes getting a hot mustard covered sausage rammed up his back door. No kink shaming, by the way. There's just something that happens in the movie that's kind of out of left field, and it's like, all right, rock and roll.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, us American prudes, we don't play with food that way. It's
well, speak for yourself, Julio.
we go as far as like what James Van Der Beek in what is that movie where he puts
Varsity Blues?
No, it's not him. It's not even him. It's whoever the girl is that just covers herself with.
I've honestly never seen that movie, but that's such a perforated pop culture so much that I knew exactly what you were referencing.
All right, well, let's move on from OG Heidi. We're going to go to the next quote, which is from Stefan Berger Steffens from SBS.is, who says, all in all, it's a fun romp. You get great acting, great visuals, and absurd scenes like Execution by Toblerone. So it's easy to recommend. Execution by Toblerone. Alex, speaking of weird things that this movie does with food.
I called that out in the episode, and you were like, what's that? It's chocolate.
This is a Toblerone chocolate bar.
I am the fat one of the two of us.
Have you had it before? Is this like exclusive to Switzerland? Okay, so how does it compare to real American chocolate?
Well, I mean, what is you comparing that to? I'm not a big chocolate guy to begin with, man. Like, I fuck with Snickers. Like my sweets of choice, are like gummy bears. Like anything gummy. I like, anything Haribo makes, I'm keeping them in business pretty much. So chocolate for me is not like I'll have a good piece of chocolate cake every now and then if like the time.
Oh, but that's not the same. No. We're talking about like chocolate bars. Like Toblerone is like a brick, like a tiny brick of chocolate, right? Like that's.
It's weird, like Hershey's or Toblerone or like some of those real like chocolate bars.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just kind of like wear on my teeth. I mean, that's probably part of getting old too. Is like it feels like I know like my teeth are being surrounded in sugar, and it's But I'll fuck with a Snickers.
Just nibble at it.
Well, yeah, that's got peanuts in it, so it's healthy for me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. All right, so it is very possible then that people would be able to kill you with a Toblerone, knock your teeth off, and
if you keep chocolate around long enough, it'll harden. So, you can kill anyone with anything if you really set your mind to it.
I was gifted a chocolate bunny once for Easter. And,
solid or hollow?
Solid. And I found that out the hard way. And you just said that bunny sat there for a while because, again, I have to be in the mood for chocolate and I can't eat a whole lot of it. At some point, I just had to give up. Like, the bunny won that battle because it was just too much. It was like, you had to like chip away at it. Anyway, Death by Toblerone, courtesy of Mad Heidi. I haven't seen it before, probably won't see it since.
Commander Knorr.
Yeah. All right. Next. Kat Hughes from THN says, a perfect film for a crowd. Mad Heidi feeds off of the energy of those watching, bouncing it back at them. Mad Heidi is a ton of fun and is sure to delight genre fans with a silly sense of humor. It's a crowd movie. Alex, do you think that you and I missed out on something special by watching it by ourselves?
No.
Wow, you seem pretty certain of that answer because I was
For
leaning the
you
other
and
way.
I specifically.
Oh, okay.
Like, and for the purposes of the episode, like you said, one of us really likes it, one of us does not. And so, well, you wonder if we watch it together, if the enjoyment of it would become infectious, or the cynicism of it would become infectious. Who knows? This would definitely, this could be so fun in the right crowd. Like if the Draft House showed this on like a weird Wednesday or something, this could be a blast to see in a theater.
Have you had that experience of you being the one person in a crowded theater that is not enjoying the movie and everybody else is?
Dawn of Justice.
Yes. I didn't know that's what you were gonna bring up, but yes, that was both of us. We were there and people were losing their shit and we were just not amused.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman showed up, everybody started applauding, and we're like,
our friend Reed was with us, and he turned around to the theater and he's like, "Don't applaud that." Now that's a very real thing. I've told that story before. The first time I saw Superbad was a sneak preview screening on the college campus where I went, and that was like a fucking party, dude. That screening of that movie is something that's one of my favorite experiences of ever going to see a movie in a theater. And so like that's a real thing. That's, I think in some circles you could say that's like a lazy thing to fall back on, depending on the movie you're discussing and what merit you're assigning it. But something like this, yeah, this could be a lot of fun to see with like-minded people.
I've had those experiences. I mean, you go to movies enough, you always get those really good ones. I obviously
made
the fallback.
Halloween Ends a lot easier because we were the only people in the theater, so there wasn't anybody there to be like, to provide the Julio voiceover.
Fuck
this
you.
Sucks. Yeah, exactly.
No, someone like me would always fall back. The easy fallback from modern times is Avengers Endgame, right? Like if you were watching it with a crowd on opening weekend, even weeks after, because that movie was doing crazy business and there were crazy crowds, but there was everybody was there for the same reason. But even going further back, just to highlight the differences, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy in Peru. We went to with my family and went to like a midnight show, and it was great. And then I might have told this story on the show before. Weeks later, I was back in the States, and I was visiting a friend. We had to kill time, so her teenage son and I went to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, "Oh, you like it? It's fun," and that kid was not into it at all. And it didn't help that it was by then the movie had been out for a while, so the theater was kind of empty, and so it was just like a handful of people, and nobody was really into the movie. And I started getting just self-conscious because even though I was finding it funny and I was laughing, I was the only person and nobody else was into it. So it didn't ruin the movie for me, but it certainly ruined the experience of watching it that one time. I was like not having fun because I was very, very aware of this, how dead everything else was. So, I can see how watching Mad Heidi with an audience that's into it and watching Mad Heidi with an audience that's not into it, because it's such a movie, it's such a big movie, and that's the thing. Movies that require a reaction from you can be affected so much by the crowd you're watching it with. A drama, I mean, that's it's almost the same if you're watching, I don't know, in the bedroom, the movie in the bedroom, if you're watching it at the theater by yourself, with 100 people, or by yourself in the bedroom. So I
don't think like Saving Private Ryan was a crowd movie.
Well, I mean, I watched it with a pack in a packed auditorium, and it was an experience in a different way.
I don't think a more would benefit watching in a sold out theater versus I don't think people are cheering at a more.
I told you, right, when I watched a more, it was because we watched it at the now defunct Regal Theater. The which one was it? The one up north?
Oh, the Arbor.
The Arbor. Which was generally like older people would go there, and so when I watched more, it was like a packed house, and I would say 90% of the audience were senior citizens, and that's a movie about older people facing their mortality. So there was a vibe, and I felt very young watching that movie, surrounded by people that were like 30, 40 years older than me. Yeah. The moral of the story is, if you don't like a movie, you might like it if you watch it with a crowd, or the other way around. So
I heard numerous people say those. I remember back in the day of the Jackass movies, was they didn't like Jackass on TV and they didn't watch it, but they went and saw it in the theater with their friends, and it was like a sold out theater, and everyone was like, hooting and hollering along, and it became kind of infectious.
You know what? You don't have to go to theaters. Pineapple Express, famously, is a movie that I don't think very highly of, but my friends quote it all the time, and it became one of those movies where if they came over or if I went over to their one of their houses, like they would have it playing in the background and they would quote it along as it was playing. And I like that movie now because of that. But when I first watched it, I just didn't care. But now I like it because it's just a thing. I remember the experience. So anyway, let us know what movie works for you that way. You can watch it with friends, but don't watch it by yourself because then it doesn't work. But that's it, Alex. Enough of this chit chat. Let's move on to the Josh Gad Minute. Let's cast Josh Gad in Mad Heidi. Let's put a blonde wig on him, and is he gonna be a good guy, bad guy? What are we doing?
Oh, he's not going to be Casper Van Dien. He's not going to take his part there. There's just kind of a few different parts here he could fit into. We got to utilize him he could be one of the French delegates, but we got to have him do an accent of some sort.
Yeah.
So, we could just go all the way and have him replace Max Rudelinger, the Commander Knorr, so that Josh Gad is pretty much the bad guy of this movie, or at least the guy that does the most evil deeds throughout it. Or Pascal Uli, who plays Dr. Schwitzengebel, who's the doctor that works for the President Miley.
And the guy that comes up with the zombie cheese.
And then the guy who makes it to the end of the movie.
Right.
A bit of a spoiler there, but so I want comedically over the top, borderline offensively stereotypical Swiss accent from Josh Gad, bad guy in this. I would side with Knorr just so he's like completely evil. I think that would be a fun twist on kind of what we're used to with Josh Gad, because we've talked about before, when we do these, he's never really been an evil bad guy, and Commander Knorr is a bad dude.
He's a bad dude. He's also the protagonist of that scene we were referencing earlier with the sausage and the mustard. Mm-hmm. So do you think Josh Gad would be down for that, or would he put in his contract, I don't know, we need to...
I think he'd go all in.
I'm Olaf. I can't.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I forget about that. Yeah. So they might have to change it up a little bit. Maybe he just eats the sausage in kind of a suggestive manner. But yeah, I think he'd be fair. He'd be down to play ball.
Anybody who's watching this video and hasn't watched Mad Heidi, you're probably wondering, what the hell? Why are we just so obsessed with that scene? But it really is. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and then you can just not forget it for the rest of the movie.
It's memorable.
Yeah. All right, I like that. I like him as a bad guy, and you're right. We would not take this away from Starship Troopers Rico. I think that he just, Casper Van Dien, he has a foothold on this Swissplotation genre now. But if we're going all camp like this movie is going, you could also have Josh Gad as Grandpa.
Yeah.
You just gray his hair, put him like a fake beard, and then we see him almost get killed, sort of get killed. We see him come back from the dead. We see him lead a group of revolutionaries towards the climax, and then he gets an honorable moving death at the end. It's a full meal. So you can have good Gad or you can have bad Gad. It's just your choice when it comes to recasting Mad Heidi. Let us know in the comments, what would you prefer?
He's not going to be Heidi, though.
No, I think that what's the name of the actress that plays Heidi? Because I think
Lucy. I do like her.
She's great in the role. Why would you change that? That's probably she's her and Casper Van Dien. I mean, untouchable. Yeah. Everybody else, fair game. All right, so that was the Josh Gad Minute. Alex, what trivia do you have for Mad Heidi?
Well, you should definitely tune into the episode, because in it we detail that this was a crowdfunded project, and they ended up with about a $2 million American, and that's in American dollars, budget for the movie that was crowdfunded, and the kind of elements that go into it as far as the production are very fascinating, and some of those are detailed and examined further in the episode proper. Mad Heidi, though, it was a movie that had a bit of a limited release last year. It went to streaming in 2022. Again, these details are ironed out in the episode proper. Directed by Johannes Hartmann and Sandro Klopstein. Written by both and also Gregory D. Widmer. An action-adventure comedy about a Swiss mountain girl, Heidi, being abducted by brutal government troops and must defend herself and fight a war against a cheese-fueled machinery of hate.
Checks
You
out.
know what kind of movie you're in for here. Alice Lucy actually did 2.5 weeks of combat training to prepare for this. So not the rigorous, boot camp of the aforementioned Saving Private Ryan that, Tom Sizemore and such went through, but still, she put in the work for this. At 71 minutes in, this is during one of the climatic battle scenes, Casper Van Dien yells, "Faster, pussycat." Do you remember this? It's during the fight scene at the end.
I do not. It's all a
Okay.
blur, Alex.
So for those who are curious, the climax of this happens in a gladiatorial type situation where these women are basically trained and bred to fight each other for the crowd's entertainment. It's very much a "are you not entertained" type situation. But our main bad guy yells, "Faster, pussycat," to which all the townspeople respond with "Kill, kill."
How did I miss this?
And I love this IMDb, the way it follows up here, the trivia thing. This may be an homage to the Russ Meyer movie Faster, Pussycat, Kill, Kill.
You think? IMDb?
Whenever I think of that movie, I think of the Shell by my house gas station that I've been a loyal patron of for 12 or 13 years at this point. There used to be a guy who worked there. He was an odd fellow that we called Shapes. And one time, like, he would just say the weirdest shit. You would just be like, okay. I remember one time I was wearing a Ramones t-shirt, and he's like, "What are they up to these days?" And I was like, "They're all dead." He's like, "When did that happen?" It's like, "Well, spaced out over the past 25 years." And I there's a wrestler, Kevin Owens, in the WWF now, used to be Kevin Steen, and he had a shirt that said "Kill Steen Kill." That was like his merchandise for a while. And I wore that in there, and he's just like eyeing me up and down. And he's like, "Kill Steen Kill. Any relation to Faster Pussycat Kill Kill?" And I was just like, "Please just bring my beer up. I want to get the fuck out of here, dude."
Gets boring, man. If you're the only person at a gas station late at night.
That's a busy gas station too, and he was just a strange cat, man. Anyway, back to the lecture at hand. About 9.5 minutes into the film, there's a video short called "Nutrition and Patriotism." Several characters in the short say, "I'm doing my part." Can you deduce what this is an homage to, Julio?
Okay, so are they sure now? It's not like it may be a homage to Starship Troopers.
This one is even a little more like loosey goosey. It's in the first one they actually say the words flat out. Like it's like saying, one of the characters goes, "You're my Wonderwall," and they're like, "This may be an homage to the Oasis track of 1995's What's the Story, Morning Glory."
I mean, Casper Van Dien is there, so even if they originally didn't know about it or it was an accident, right? He would have gone like, "Hey, it's just like that movie that made me famous for 5 minutes."
As I mentioned, with Mad Heidi being a crowdfunded project, its website, madheidi.com, not only has all the details, but has still like an expansive shop of all the things that are available. One of the things in the IMDb trivia section that we debate in the episode is if it's legitimate or not, or something to be taken seriously. It says that a planned sequel is announced at the end. But we talk about in the episode, I think the way they play that is just really tongue-in-cheek and wink-wink for the tone of the movie. Is nothing we were able to find in the research for it indicates that there's something in production, or even that I saw. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I didn't see anything in the way of attempting to source more money from its audience for it. So this may just be kind of one-and-done fun project.
I want to hear from you if you backed that
Absolutely.
crowdfunding. Tell us what was your reward, how much you pledged, how satisfied were you with the movie? Are you already saving to crowdfund the sequel? I'm fascinated by the process of crowdfunding a movie. I'm very much behind it. I think that is a nice way of going around the studio system. So I'm all for it.
And regardless of who liked this and who didn't, I think this, in addition to our thoughts on the movie in general, This is kind of reassuring. This is
Yeah.
like within the past 5 years that people still want to see shit like this made. And for those physical media nuts like myself, that's one of the big things on the website is they have like fucking 19 different versions of this movie you can buy, the deluxe edition. I think there's one that said like the extra cheese edition or some shit like that. So it's all kind of like, the thing is too with like the Blu-rays, you can get them with different sleeves from different like different designs, different artists and stuff. So it's a project that is for better or worse, depending on how we feel about the movie. Again, this is your teaser to listen to the episode. But there's a lot of things surrounding this that are kind of reassuring, and the type of things that Julio and I give a thumbs up to in this age of jadedness that we have. So it is currently $1.99 to rent on Amazon for those of you in the States, and it looks like it has a lot of different websites that you can like rent it from, as they say. But like I said, the website is madheidi.com, has information there of where you can watch it internationally. We recommend you do check out the episode and maybe, watch the movie beforehand so you can kind of know
Yes.
what you're getting into in terms of our discussion.
Yeah, because it is one of those movies that because it's so unusual, I think that we do our best, but there's no way that we can do justice to the experience of watching,
Mhm.
all like a dude getting killed with nacho cheese and so on. It's one thing for us to tell you about it, but another thing to watch it happen. And then you can decide if you thought that was cool or not.
Yeah.
But still, it's a short movie too. I mean, it's not super long, and
No, it's like an hour and a half. It's like right on the money.
yeah, it's pretty action packed, so it moves fast. Yeah, like Alex said, I don't know how long it's been $1.99 on Amazon and how much longer it'll be $1.99 on Amazon, but that's a bargain. So it's $2. All right, well, that's it for Mad Heidi, and that's it for our standard episodes, because now we're about to enter the summer, and with summer comes our next summer event. We're going to focus for a few months on two filmmakers. Going to be further from Mad Heidi and all the other stuff we've been doing. We're going to be talking about the movies of Peter Bogdanovich and the movies of PJ Hogan. And we're going to be talking about Bogdanov films and PJ parties. We're going to start with a Bogdanov film. It's his, I don't know if it's his most famous movie, but definitely one of the most famous at the very least, and one that gets referenced a lot. Blind Spot for me. Blind Spot for you, Alex, as well? The Last Picture Show?
Yes, but I was gifted the Criterion back at Christmas, so it'll be getting taken off the shelf and
Awesome.
viewed for this. Yeah.
That is good stuff. So that's where we start. We're gonna go, unlike other events, the way that we have it scheduled is chronologically. So we're gonna go chronological order. With PJ Hogan, it works to where we are gonna cover all his movies because he's not as prolific as Bogdanovich was. With Bogdanovich, we're gonna hit a lot of high points, and we might also do some of the stuff on the Patreon, like some of the B-sides, like we've done before. But yeah, we're about to get a little film schooly, but still, it should be a lot of fun. There's a lot of I think it's a good alternation of like kind of like art film episodes with more mainstream episodes. Like PJ Hogan did a Peter Pan movie, so that's what you're in for. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening to the show. Watch Mad Heidi, listen to the episode, watch Last Picture Show, and get ready for our next episode. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.